Hi again everybody, welcome to my latest video. Well, in this one I'm going to do a PC build. It's going to be with a combination of some parts that I've already used that were left over, some new parts, and some parts that will actually be only temporarily put into this build. It's mostly going to be geared towards a spare PC that I can use to just sort of play around with. But I think at the end, once I've upgraded a couple of the parts that I plan on upgrading, and these are going to be parts that are going to come out of other equipment that is due for an upgrade. So I'll be upgrading those even further, and then what's there is actually better than what I have here in a couple of cases. Then I'll be able to have something that is worth doing something decent with. So let me start with the parts. First of all, there is the B365HD3 motherboard. It is a low-end motherboard. You've seen me use this before in terms of some specific videos, but it allows for Intel CPU up to theoretically up to 9th gen, but I wouldn't put past 8th gen in it because I don't think it has the VRM that's capable of handling that, if you know what I mean. So this is only going to have a 8th gen CPU even before and after I upgrade it at some point. The graphics card is going to be my spare Asus Rope Strict 1660 Super. Pretty decent card. I could make some decent money off this if I wanted to sell it right now, but it's not going up for sale. The actual CPU is a temporary one. I'm putting in the extra i3, and this is the 8100. Yeah, I believe it's the 8100. Yeah, the i3 8100. I will be putting an experimental, or the first time I'm trying this cooler. It's a well, first of all, it's Noctua, and it's a U9S. Now, this particular CPU doesn't need anything like this. It would get away fine with the stock cooler that's in this box, but I want to use this one. I'll be buying another one in my new server because it's a low profile Noctua high-end performance cooler. It is not RGB though. That's okay. Now, this case supposedly comes with one RGB fan, and one of the features of it, as you'll see when I open it up, you actually have a transparent emblem for Corsair on the front of it that you can see the RGB from the fan right behind it. But I'm going to put two more fans in there. I have two of these SickleFlow 120 from Cooler Master. They're going to go in, and they'll be the ones that'll go in the front. They are PWM fans, and the one that's going to go in the back is the one that they give, the Corsair RGB one, which I don't think it'll be PWM, but we'll find out once I open it up. I can't tell one way or the other, but I doubt it for the cost that I paid for this particular case. And then power supply is going to be one I've never used, the Corsair VS500. Got a really good price on this, as you may recall. I've done a review of this without actually putting it in a PC, just a cold review of it. This time it's going to actually get used, 500 watts, and unfortunately it's the only one that I saw that it's not really fully 500 watts. If you look at the back of it, it really is, as I recall, let's see, 460 watt, which is good enough for this build anyway. And then finally, this case. Now this is a case I've never opened up, and I bought it a while ago. It's the Corsair Carbide 175R. Never been opened. I bought it probably almost a year ago now through Newegg. Got a really good price on it. Couldn't refuse it. And you've heard me talk about that before. When I get a good deal on a case, it's hard for me to resist. So it has, theoretically it's RGB, but it's just that one fan that you can see through the front emblem, is what I believe. It also has a tempered side glass, which I'm not sure how dark it is, but it's probably not light. And it's a pretty compact mid-tower case that should work fine for this build. In addition to that, let me move this over, I'm going to be using temporarily as well, just like the CPU is a temporary one, I'll be replacing the CPU with an i5 8600K that'll come out of my old server. That's what this will get replaced with at some point. The same thing for this memory. Right now I'm just putting 8 gig of 2400 megahertz, what's it called? Guile? I think that's how you pronounce it, Guile memory in for now. And then I have this 512 gigabyte M2 drive. I've added a heatsink to it already, but it's from Inland. So it's an Inland Premium 512 gigabyte SSD. So that's what'll go in here initially. I may also add at some point an additional, at least a 512 gigabyte external 2.5-inch SSD to it as well. So we'll see how that goes. I may even do it in this build. I have a couple of extras that I can use for that. So those are the parts roundup of what's going to go into this build. So let's go ahead and get started with it and see how it turns out. Okay, let's start by opening the case up and see what it looks like. Like I said, I haven't opened this up at all yet. First time. For all I know, it could be damaged. I hope that's not the case. I've had it way too long to return it at this point. Well, that's good. At least the glass is intact. Glad to see that. Oh, I didn't realize that. It has a magnetic filter at the top. That's pretty good. Let's take a look at the front. It's got a lot of peels on here. I'll start by peeling off the little plastic on the emblem here. I'll get that out of the way. Didn't hear much of a tear there, but it's okay. Let's take the side glass off. It is dark, as you can see here. A little bit snug, but then I don't need a screwdriver. That's good. I've had cases where I had to use a screwdriver to get these things off. That could lead to problems in shipping because the tempered glass can't take much stress in certain directions. It's got nice little padded, rubber padded screws holding the tempered glass on. And there we go. We put this in a nice safe place. Okay, pretty standard in here. All the cables to the front panel and stuff are all black. That's good. Of course, they never do that to the audio cable. You notice they never go all the way down in terms of that cable to make it all black all the way down. Why they did that? Besides me, I don't know. There is an RGB here. Wow, it's a standard 12-volt RGB. I wonder if it lights something else up here. Or is there an actual light up in the front? Or is that just for the fan that's in here? It might just be for the one that the fan is in here. We'll find out as I open this thing up a little bit more. These off. Oh, these I might need a screwdriver for. Captured screws, that's a big plus. Did not realize they were going to do that. That's good. We got two bays here, the type that you can, with a screwdriver, unfortunately, you can take these out. The 2.5-inch drive bays, mainly for SSDs, but you can put hard drives. They are available in 2.5 inch. You put it on there, you can remove it, then you can just put it back in. Let me loosen these guys up. Just make sure it's thumbable. It's got a standard Corsair-like plastic sleeves for the hard drives. Little box of goodies. These are not hot swappable bays. I didn't expect to see that. Those are only in the higher end cases. Okay, I like this, the rubber grommets for the cable pass-throughs from the front to the back, or back to the front, either way. Let's see here, it's got a filter, nice fine mesh filter for the power supply. That's good. Very standard Corsair type case. More expensive than I would have thought because, as I recall, this was extremely economical when I purchased it. So that's a lot of pluses so far for the price that I paid. There we go. You have to be careful how you put that thing back in there. It only goes in on certain angles onto the back of this. Let's see. Let's look at the front a little bit. And as is usually the case, which I always like, Corsair makes these I/O shield brackets so that you can take them in and out. So it's a plus. So we can remove them and put them back again. They're not the ones that you tear out and then you can't put them back. Or they give you a plastic one to go back. There we go. That's good. And I can put them right back again. I won't tighten that too much because that's one of the ones I'm pretty sure I have to take out. Okay, that's good. Now let's see, how do I get the front off? The tabs in here are screws. Looks like you just pull it. So it's got a piece of plastic down here. I'll just break through that with my fingers for now and see if I can just, there we go, pull that out. As I thought, a translucent little panel here to allow the RGB from this fan in the front to go down into it. Let's take a look at this fan. And of course, it's only a 3-wire fan. So it's a DC fan, it's not PWM as I expected. It has regular 12-volt RGB. So that's what the RGB connector was that I saw going to the other side. It was from that fan. Okay. It does not come with a rear fan, only that one RGB front fan. It has 2 bays for 5.25 inch, or you can, it looks like you can also put 2.5 inch in here if you'd like, without any problem. That's standard with the Corsair cases I've seen. And it looks like the whole bay comes out if you don't want it. Yeah, we got, looks like 4 screws on the bottom. and then one screw over here in order to take that out. Pass through here, a rubber grommet pass through as well on this side from the power supply down there. So you can feed cables up through there. Back here there's no rubber grommets. That's okay, they're close to the motherboard at that point. Let's see, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It looks like it has all of the actual AT positioned studs down, so we're good for that. This one actually has a little ridge to it, so it's the one you would position into that one hole on the motherboard to get it centered. I think I may have to move them because I think the AT motherboard that I have may have a screw that's over here in this hole rather than all the way at the end here. So I'll have to double check that once we go to put the motherboard in. But it's pretty good. It's a reasonable quality compared to what I paid for this. As I recall, it was less than $50 that I paid for it. It was a sale that Newegg was holding, so those are the types of things I always keep my eyes open for. It's got a nice front panel here. Got the power switch. You got two USB 3.0 connectors. That's good. It's got the normal audio connector, a combo, and then it has a reset button as well. Okay, so that's the case. I'm going to leave it apart like this as we start building everything else. Okay, that concludes part one of this, which should be just a two-part series to build this PC that I'm trying to build here. There's just a lot of pieces to it, including the time that it took to review this case quickly, which I think was worth it. So until the next time, which should be just in a few days, less than a week, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for part two, which I'll actually start putting all the components together and then see if this thing works. So if you got something out of this video, or found it useful in any way, if you'd at least consider subscribing to my channel, it would help. This way I could inform you of my future videos a lot easier. You'll get notifications from me when I go live, for example, and hopefully you'll be able to catch on part two for this particular series and future builds that I'll be doing. So until then, take care, stay safe, and stay healthy.